David Wickenberg. I'm from KWB LLP, Chartered Professional Accountants. We specialize in cloud-based accounting. That means we're working in things like QBO and Receipt Bank. We put on monthly seminars, so if you're interested in joining us for one of those, let us know. And the best way to reach us is at info@kwbllp.com or give us a call at 780-466-6204.
I'm Heather Bowie, a manager with KWB LLP, Chartered Professional Accountants. I'm working with the firm focusing on helping our clients understand the programs and opportunities of subsidies available under the COVID programs with CRA. If you have any questions regarding any of the wage subsidies or loans available, give us a call. You can reach us at info@kwbllp.com or 780-466-6204.
It's James Steinhubel on the Business Channel on TVU. And today we have KWB Chartered Professional Accountants, and we have a partner, David Wickenberg, and Heather Bowie, manager. How you guys doing?
Great, great.
Good, nice to see you, James.
Yeah, I'm familiar with your brand. And so, but, your first time on the channel. So maybe, David, give us a little bit of background about yourself and then about your scope of your business. It would be great.
Sure, you bet. So we're a firm mostly CPAs, although we have a fair number of non-designated people as well. Been around for quite some time. We started the firm in '96, so we're approaching 25 years here fairly soon. Have some Sherwood Park roots for sure. One of my originating partners was from the Ardrossan area, and got 4 or 5 people that live in the park. And we used to be along 50th Street, so we serviced a lot of that area as well. And we're now moved over to near 97th Street and 54th Avenue. About 18 to 20 people, depending on the time of the year and that sort of thing. Focus on tax planning, personalized customer service, and of late, in the last 2 to 3 years, we're very, very much cloud-based. Which means we really promote working in the cloud with apps like QBO and related apps. And that really, really helps businesses, be current, be accurate, be timely, which has been huge in the last 2-3 months. And, Heather will speak to that later when we talk about the wage subsidy and how to apply and things, because without that current information, it becomes really, really tough.
It's interesting that in these times with blockchain and supply chain, that it took like this kind of disruption for us to bring the rest of our businesses over to that kind of continuity or convergence. So, with that, and you're both U of A grads, so I wanted to bring that up. So, and that's cool because U of A is where I'm from too. So, yeah, so Heather, you're right in the middle of it, and so David's bringing all the, keeping the big clients, and you hit COVID, the system hit, and how did it go? Are you comfortable? You don't look stressed, so you came through the extended season, so all well, that ended well?
Yeah, we made it through. Definitely a little bit longer of a tax season than what we're used to, and, you throw in some of those new government programs that have been available. It's definitely kept us busy and continues to keep us busy and available to continue to help our clients and just make sure that they're able to navigate the programs available and apply to those that are relevant to them and that they qualify for.
Yeah, and that's certainly lots to talk about because you have a vibrant financial business. So there'd be many more things that I'm interested to talk to you about. But this one is so pertinent, and it's the Canadian Emergency Wage Subsidy. So who wants to jump in? Like, what is it? And let's just start with that.
Sure, I'll take that. I've been working closely with somebody else here in the firm, and we're both really active in researching the program and making sure that we understand it. So the wage subsidy, the acronym for it is CEWS, so standing for the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy. Most people understand it as the 75% wage subsidy. Basically what the program does is it allows businesses to get a subsidy back from the government of 75% of the eligible remuneration that they've paid to their employees, up to a maximum of $847 per week. So really the purpose of it was to help businesses keep employees on payroll as they went through this whole interruption with COVID. They've had reduced revenue, and then now they're working on building their revenue and their base back up to pre-COVID levels as things start to open up over the last couple of weeks and as we move forward throughout the summer.
It sounds very enlightened, a very enlightened program. I'm 57. I've seen a lot of government stuff come through. I've seen a lot of things that never really happened, even though they said they're going to happen. But this seems to be happening. So how does an employer apply, and who can apply?
Okay, so applications actually open for the program on April 27th, and they're going to continue accepting applications until the end of September. So basically, they have to be in by the beginning of October. Employers that are eligible to apply are businesses such as corporations and individuals, charities, partnerships. Basically, as long as they had a open payroll account as of March 15th, if they've experienced the required reduction in revenue for one or more of the claim periods, and they submit on time, they will be eligible for the benefit that's available to them.
So what are the general conditions? So people are listening to this and their ears are peeking up. It's like, does it apply to our business?
Yeah. So the period, I guess the application has been broken down into periods. So currently we are in period 4, and the dates for that would be from June 6th to July 5th. Each period runs a 4-week term, and so you could be eligible for one period or all periods. What we know right now is that the revenue reduction that you needed to have, so for period 1 that started in March, you needed to have a 15% revenue reduction, and that would be when you compared your March revenue from 2020 compared to March revenue in 2019. Alternatively, you could also look at comparing your average of January and February revenue compared to your March revenue. So each period, it gives you what they call a reference period, and that's the month that you're going to be comparing current results to either that prior month or your January, February average. It's really important to note that when you do apply, that whatever base that you've used, so whether you're going to look at prior period or you're going to look at your January, February average, that you apply it consistently. So for some clients, that might mean you might want to wait until a couple periods have passed. I mean, we're already in period 4 right now, so you kind of would get a good understanding of where things are, just to make sure that you are eligible for the most periods that you could be eligible for. So that's why you might want to hold off. Other times, it's very clear if businesses had to shut down due to the requirements that put on them by the government, that they're going to meet the revenue reduction for all those periods going forward. We do know that the government is going to be potentially making changes. They've told us, though, it will come into effect for the period 5 and period 6. So we're still waiting on that announcement. So up to period 4, we know that you're required to have that 30% revenue reduction in order to be eligible.
So I can really see how this could be cumbersome, for people that are already at the limit. They're trying to keep their staff down. So now you bring all this stuff in. So I can see the real benefit of having your business lined up with a professional accounting firm that your books and your records are streaming with you. You guys can provide, right away. You can literally put the grid down and say you qualified. So yeah. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
But for other people, they're just sort of shoeboxing it. This could be tough on them.
Yeah, and that really is one of the benefits of having your accounting using a software such as QBO. It helps businesses on a regular basis be able to make decisions because they have that accurate real-time data. But especially when we get into situations like this, where you want to know where you sit right away. And we're able to tell that information right away instead of waiting a month or 2 months for bookkeeping or things like that to get caught up. we know who's eligible, and we're able to actually apply for them right away as well. One of the things that we're doing in our firm is making sure that we have a package that our clients are receiving that really shows first the support for how we've determined that they are eligible and they meet those requirements, and then provide the backup of how we've calculated the subsidy and what we've applied for them. And it really then provides them with this package that they know that it's been done according to the guidelines set out by CRA. And they also have that easy to grab package if when they get questioned and have to provide any support to CRA to back up the claim that we've submitted for them.
Now, using QBO, are you able to alert your clients? Like, are you able to program that in and say you qualify, or do you have to wait for them to inquire to you?
Well, we have a number of programs that we work with for our clients where we might be touching base with them on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis. So we're looking at their records on a regular basis, and we're able to then kind of check for them to see who would have been eligible, who might not be, and kind of follow up with our clients that way. I think it's one of the benefits that we have at our firm by doing QBO and kind of having those constant touch points and those check-ins with our clients.
Receiving the information from your professional associations about what they were hoping that you guys would do as professionals, you've pretty well checked off everything of what your profession, like the CPA was saying to do. Reach out to your clients, inform them, be proactive. So it's good to see that. I'm going to get into some other deeper questions here, Dave. Do you have a comment or any input?
I was just going to add one thing just to clarify. Heather mentioned the revenue comparison, period versus period. But there's a bit more of a confusing thing in that it's not just booked revenue, right, which is what you might invoice, but it's also based on cash receipts or can be as an option. And so if you found it confusing just thinking about what's been booked, it's another layer of confusion to say, but you know what, if you don't qualify because of your booked revenue, but maybe your cash receipts are really down because people just aren't paying you, you could qualify under that method as well. And so we actually look at all of those, and there have been lots of clients that didn't qualify because of the booked revenue reduction not being enough, but have qualified because their cash receipts has dropped by more than 30%.
And now what I've noticed with some of my clients when I'm doing, the TV thing, and they've applied for these different programs, they're actually getting calls from the different departments in the government helping them. I was just like, when they hung up, they were actually happy. I was just like, who are you talking to? It's just that's from the government for all these programs. So have you guys found that too, that the government's into it? They really want to get this done.
I think there's a lot of resources out there available, and it's just kind of making sure that we're taking the time to read what's available, attend regular updates and webinars to make sure that we're staying current in that information, and really kind of using all the resources that are available to us to make sure that we're making the best decisions for our clients.
Now, a couple other questions was the how is revenue calculated? You touched a little bit on it. If it's a brief model, and then what's the total amount that they can receive? Well, I guess you told me that. I guess the other one would be who's an eligible employee, and what is the amount of the subsidy calculated for each employee? It's getting real detailed, but if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah. No problem. So like I said, the amount that an eligible employer can receive is 75% of the actual wages that were paid up to a maximum of the $847 per week for each employee. So an eligible employee is basically the individual that's employed by the employer for that claim period. So as long as the employee hasn't been without wages for 14 or more consecutive days in a claim period, they are considered eligible, and the employer can apply for CEWS on the wages that they paid to that employee. So really what we're looking at there is we just want to make sure that if they were off for more than 14 days in that claim period, it is likely then that the employee filed for CERB on their own. And so kind of how these programs work together is if the employee was on CERB and receiving that benefit, as an employer, you can't also claim the 75% wage subsidy if they were only working for you for less than those 14 days. or has those days.
But I know a lot of companies let everyone go on CERB, right? And then they needed them back because business was still happening, right? So now they're going with the subsidy thing. So
yeah. And there is an option that you could have chosen to like if you chose to rehire, and then you could retroactively pay your employees back to the kind of what your retroactive rehire date is. So as long as you have paid the employees and you have attributed what you've paid them back to those dates, you can apply for CEWS with those wages for each of those periods. And then it's really up to the employee to contact CRA and make arrangements to repay the CERB amount that they received.
Oh, I see. Okay. Now, confidentiality, I guess, everyone's in the same boat, but some business people are still, a little conscious of, especially in Alberta, getting involved with the government. So, will anyone know if an employer applies?
They have actually said in the legislation that yes, there is an opportunity that they can publish the names of any eligible employee that did make an application for the wage subsidy. At this time, they haven't published any of that information, and they're still kind of deciding how they're making that information available. That part's still under consideration. Right now, what has been posted is the number of applications that they've received and the average amount that they've paid out under the program and the total amount that they've paid out. So currently, there is no list of the names, and they haven't announced how that kind of will happen, if at all.
And I think as we go through COVID and these programs, before they're sort of an option for some people, but now you need them, right? So, I think, and that the government's actually going through with it. I think it's very helpful for the overall national unity and national agenda, for Canada. For me, anyways, I'm quite impressed. So, how will the subsidy be treated for income tax purposes? And then I have one left after that.
Yeah, so the subsidy that you receive, it will be treated as taxable income. So if as an employer, you're going to need to record it, we're setting it up for our clients and recommending that they have just a separate line item that's listed as the wage subsidy income. And so the amount that you receive gets recorded in there. We are finding for the clients that we're applying online, most of them are receiving the direct deposit within a week. So really that is such a great help for businesses. That is just so timely in, from when we apply to when they're actually receiving it. It really is.
It's amazing. It is amazing. So I've got one last question, and it is, what are the anti-avoidance measures and penalties for non-compliance? I guess that's a really nice way of asking that question. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a polite way to ask it. There are measures in place. So initially, when applications are submitted, there are going to be some automated queries in place. Sometimes clients might receive a phone call just to confirm the information that was submitted online. But CRA has said that there will be post assessment audits that will be happening on the information that's submitted. Basically, you won't be able to make a claim that isn't correct. So they are going to be auditing, they are going to be checking it. There will be a penalty of up to 25% of the amount of the wage subsidy that was claimed. As well, you'd have to repay the wage subsidy that you received. And even depending on kind of the level or what happened with making a claim that shouldn't have been made, there is even potential of further fines or jail time on it. So it's pretty serious if you don't know what you're doing, or maybe not sure what you should be claiming and maybe aren't claiming things correctly, that the penalties and the risk is pretty huge to the employer.
And that's why we think it's so important to have a good package to back it up, right? Like not just do it right, just do it right when you apply. And I'm sure most people think they are and are trying to, but we're really careful to okay, let's document exactly what our assumptions are and what numbers we're using and the backup for that and everything, and all the backup for all the wages. And, so it's a pretty intense, full package, but we fully anticipate that there's going to be a lot of queries and reviews and audits of this, and so we want our clients to be fully prepared for it.
Yeah, and that's the I think that's the important thing, and it's not like, I think people will just make honest mistakes and not understanding terms and what, now you're talking different kinds of money, right? And some of these applications could be very sophisticated, right? So
well, and being able to show that it was an honest mistake because you've got the backup, versus not being able to show it was an honest mistake and perhaps having it assumed that it was, more than that, and then getting the 25% penalty, could be huge, right? So
yeah,
that's the part of that we're trying to avoid.
Yeah, and maybe even the big firms and the big manufacturers in town who might not have this specific expertise or the time to develop it, they would be, that would be a nice connection too. So how do people get a hold of you, David? Like what's the best way to get this information and go forward?
I mean, lots of different ways for sure. We have a really good web presence and that kind of thing. So a general email for us is info@kwbllp.com, and that'll hit us, and you'll get responses from that very quickly. Our general number is 780-466-6204. And we have a real live receptionist, and she'll take those calls and direct them as needed, kind of thing. And just if anybody's calling specifically about CEWS, they could ask for Heather, and Shelley is the other person that Heather works with if Heather's not around. So, but we've got a pretty full team here, and so there's always lots of people to help out if needed.
That's excellent. It's been KWB Chartered Professional Accountants partner David Wickenberg and manager Heather Bowie on the Business Channel, TVU. See you guys.
Great. Thank you.
I'm Heather Bowie, a manager with KWB LLP Chartered Professional Accountants. I'm working with the firm focusing on helping our clients understand the programs and opportunities of subsidies available under the COVID programs with CRA. If you have any questions regarding any of the wage subsidies or loans available, give us a call. You can reach us at info@kwbllp.com or 780-466-6204.
I'm David Wickenberg. I'm from KWB LLP Chartered Professional Accountants. We specialize in cloud-based accounting. That means we're working in things like QBO and Receipt Bank. We put on monthly seminars, so if you're interested in joining us for one of those, let us know. And the best way to reach us is at info@kwbllp.com or give us a call at 780-466-6204.